It's not a fixation, it's a product of.
It's like a TED Talk. We could just sort of
It is a
combine
TED
that
Talk.
right there and be like, okay, my team will really appreciate how many times we have worked the word data into this conversation.
Well, I'm a data guy. I have the pleasure of sitting here with Sheldon Oppermann, CFO and Inside Counsel for New Land Enterprises. And we are sitting atop the world's tallest timber frame structure. And we get to enjoy the view, you don't, because the light wasn't perfect to accent the rare beauty of Sheldon and I.
Right. I need better lighting.
What was the genesis for getting started with us?
Well, I was getting older, and I admit I didn't like how I felt physically. I wasn't sure if that was I was carrying around extra weight or if I just hadn't done the things that everybody says you're supposed to go do. And there's that adage, if you just work out, you'll feel better. And so I thought, well, I'd lose a few pounds and then try working out. And that's really when I started working with you and your group. I lost a couple pounds first because I figured the first thing I was going to do is need to do that. I'm very fortunate, was able to get that under control and then start some strength training. And since then, it's been sort of it's a game to see just how good it could be.
You have gamified fitness. So we kind of treat our clients a bit like second graders, and we give you gold stars for every time you come into training. We have this on our board, and you and your wife Jess are the recipients of the Gold Star Award for last month.
That's right.
And we'll see how it goes this month, but you're in first place.
I think I benefited from the shortest month.
No, I don't know. We'll see what happens in March. You and Jess are quite consistent. So, but that is the key. Kind of, can we gamify it? Can we give expert instruction? Create an environment where it's engaging, the culture feels good, there's energy, and deliver the best programming and training in the metro area. And I'd like to think we did that, but I've got a bias.
Well, I think what I liked the most when I got started is it would have been decades since I had actually done anything called working out. It might be a part of just how I would work, but I didn't want to go show up to a gym and start moving things around and do it wrong.
Yeah.
Or not know what to do. And thanks to YouTube and other things, you can see some stuff, but there's some pretty wild things out there. And so I was looking for a place where I could come and sort of start from scratch. I remember when we first started, it was hard enough just to balance on one foot for any length of time. And it sounds easier than it really is. And, so then that builds, and the team was really great at sort of helping me stack pieces on top of pieces. And so now I feel differently about that whole process.
Yeah.
It took a while to start and a slow enough ramp up. It never felt like I was behind. I started to pick up some of the vernacular, but a good rep counts differently. And I wouldn't know what that is if I can't see it being done, and I'm not one of those people with recording my form.
Yeah.
And so having one of the trainers there to help me understand whether the squat is deep enough or if I'm arching my back in the wrong way that's going to hurt me.
Yeah.
That makes it possible to build.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just do it for a while and either get injured or get sick of it.
Right.
And so there's always something changing, and the block or the things we're doing is moving.
Balancing that line of in the session, focused on the communication, the coaching, and the technique, while simultaneously collecting the right pieces of data so that we can track your core lifts and know, are we moving the needle?
My team will really appreciate how many times we have worked the word data into this conversation.
Well, I'm a data guy. What are some specific results that you've experienced in working with us that I've noticed this as an improvement?
It sounds cliche, but I feel better. I think that's true. Clothes fit a little better.
Yep. So how would how would we qualify feel better?
Discipline is a key component of some of the things that I choose to do. I live a little more on the execution side of the house and a little less on the sort of creative ideas side of the house.
Yeah.
And so execution requires this sort of like, I'm going to start here and get to here and here, and if we didn't do these 4 things in that amount of time, we don't get to 5 and 6 on time.
Right.
Right. And so for me, I think I notice that's more in my routine. That's a noticeable difference, is I can sort of see the impact of having to get up every other day because I'm not coming in every day. And then some of that, what that has been doing for me anyway, when I say I reference my clothes fit a little better, is that feels like I have control in a way that I might not otherwise have had control. One of the things that, I don't know if it's just because of the choice of how you named your group, but the word performance lives in there. And I've chosen a work life and a personal life that requires sort of a steady, constant pace. I equate that to a level of ability to perform. And I think what I meant is to really describe is that when things are in order, there's less distraction.
Yeah.
When there's less distraction, performance is less inhibited.
Yeah.
And so if I'm feeling well and I feel healthy and I'm not fighting an injury or an illness because I failed to take care of some other component of my life, my performance doesn't suffer.
Right.
And, there's time for fun and everybody's having a good time. I mean, that's the best part of it, is I can do both now. I think that's how I want to describe it. Whether that, for me mentally, I think the default is to call that weight. Like I said, I had to lose some weight.
Yeah.
The reality is I just had to get my shit together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then the weight, to a certain extent, takes care of itself.
Yeah, and I think
it's not a fixation, it's a product of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
like a TED Talk. We could just sort of
it is a
combine
TED
that
Talk.
right there and be like, okay.
We're going to lead with performance. And then we know that everybody has an aesthetic goal, whether they fully have fleshed that out, pun intended, or not. We're going to focus on performance. And that's what we're going to deliver first, because we know if you can move better, execute the work capacity and the training asked for in a healthy, beautiful way, you're going to start eating a little better. You're going to start sleeping a little better. You're going to start, and then the aesthetic piece of it, the clothes are going to start fitting better. But we're going to focus first on performance.
Yeah, so I think I started off with sort of maybe a physical manifestation of something I can see, but sleep's a perfect example of that. Like, I've now identified my sleep as a performance-enhancing drug.
Oh, for sure.
That now I understand my sleep cycles, so now I understand my optimal amount of sleep, and now I discipline myself to get that because I know my performance will suffer.
Right. Well, every other day you've got an upcoming commitment, so the night before, at least 3 days a week, you're like, yeah, I need to get to bed on time.
For sure.
So I'm not going to do X, Y, or Z. Or if you do X, Y, or Z, you may move the workout. You go to Bruce Springsteen and okay, we're going to move that because I'm going to have some fun.
We did do that, but it was funny. We were at the Bucks game one night, and I ran into one of the guys that comes in right after I'm getting out in the morning, and we were both holding on to a Michelob Ultra.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's a sports drink, right?
I said nothing says adulting like the moderated fun of the Michelob Ultra.
Wow.
But I was at a game having a beer because that's my choice, and I want to do that.
Right.
But I had to sort of reframe that.
Yeah.
And which is also probably fine. I'm getting older, so I should chill out a little bit.
We all are. You might be close to middle aged. Not quite. You might be close.
I should be so lucky if this is middle.
Yeah. What are some specific upgrades you've experienced in your personal and professional life from working with us?
Well, I knew for me, and some people have different, what works for them, which is great, but I knew for me, if I didn't have a scheduled appointment where someone was expecting to see me, I would be tempted, and had previously, before having this set up, I would have the excuse to not go.
Yeah.
Well, if I just got into the office an hour earlier, or if I just got an extra hour of sleep, And so suddenly the one thing that I should probably have been doing, and now in hindsight I can say, honestly, I should have been doing earlier, I would choose to put last.
Yeah.
And again, it really does sound like one of those things that, put yourself first and all this stuff. But then I scheduled it and I'd say, okay, well, I'm going to do that. And the work will still be there. And so there's something in that for me that has a rhythm and a consistency and a cadence that I like.
Yeah. So the reality is, has your productivity at work suffered because you're now taking 4.5, 5 hours out of your week that isn't work related? Has your work suffered? I mean, it's a rhetorical question.
No, and there are a number of us from the office that are coming in now. I believe it's actually improved.
Exactly.
But I think it's the habit of discipline and willpower, and I think it also informs something about doing the thing you don't want to do. Right? Knowing that to push through something, to require yourself to get up and do the thing you don't want to do, is informing.
Yeah.
And now I see that differently, and I can see it in myself, and I can see it in the other people in our office that are participating in something like this. And there's a few people in the office who have different versions of this. And we relate to each other differently now because we understand that about each other.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's been cool.
Who's the type of person that you think would benefit from working with our group?
From my own experience, what I really appreciated, and I think I started earlier with, was I could come in having no experience, no knowledge of what I really even wanted to accomplish, except to say, I'd like to do better. Like, I don't know what that means exactly, but and the ability to get up out of a chair without aching so much.
Or growing.
Or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I think anybody who really would like to perform better, the reality is there's an added level of discipline, there's a decrease of the distractions that I was having when I didn't feel as good as I thought I now know I can. And anybody who wants to do that and perform better, I think would really benefit from it. At least try it. Don't just try it for like a month.
Yeah.
Like that's right. That'd be like saying,
give us 3 months to test drive it. And performance can be a weird thing. Like there's a measurement, and if you're underperforming, then it's not good. But at the end of the day, we're keeping some internal score, and we want to be the best we can be, so that when 100% of you shows up to your relationships and 100% of you shows up to the office and to the metro Milwaukee area, all three of those categories benefit, because Sheldon is getting the right amount of sleep, he's eating better, he's stronger, there's an increased sense of confidence in movement patterns. You just show up, and the world's a better place for it. Take care of you. Sheldon, thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
All right.